Alright guys, I got the sense that you had your doubts that came up there by the way you're asking the questions and stuff. I was kind of on the spot, so I know my words didn't come out the way that I would really like them to, and I felt like the co-host of Detroit Muscle, he kind of had his doubts too. So I'm just going to show you around my shop to let you know that yes, okay, I don't have a desk job, so I'm going to give you the rundown of what we got going on in the shop to quell some of your fears that we might have, or you might have. Alright, so what we got here is a Smokey and the Bandit car. We've done a full air ride. Let's get in a cage. We're setting up the cage to kind of go around the T-top setup. This car is, this is my fab guy. He did all this sheet metal. It's just kind of mocked in for now. It does have a full NASCAR motor. I've never actually had this car fired up because it still has a ways to go before we do that. This is a 57 Chevy convertible. Did a full frame. It's going to be a nice car. We're pretty much waiting on an interior. Interior seems like impossible to get done in a reasonable amount of time. So that's what this thing is waiting on. Full fuel injected motor. Disc brakes, yada yada, all that stuff. This is our Toyota Land Cruiser. We did the paint and body on it, built the rack. We've set it up for LED, for a light bar. Obviously still got the interior to do. Put a wiring harness in it, basic Chevy setup. Did the steering column. Had to fab up where it heads goes through the firewall, and then of course fab the mount. Dakota digital gauge cluster. Still finishing the wiring. Had to build this mount for the Chevy one-wire alternator. Rebuilt the winch. Still got to get rims and tires for it, and put all the glass in. This is a 1970 Corvette. It was a customer's dad's. It's been sitting in a barn for 25 years. Excuse me. Have to replace the whole fuel system because it was completely gunked up. I've never seen fuel that bad before. I had to blow out the lines. We were going to replace them, but to do it right, you almost have to do off the body because of the way that the lines run. So I cut the line in half and had to run a lot of brake fluid and pressurized air to clean it out. Happy to say we were able to save it. Redoing all the gaskets, paint the engine. We're rebuilding the whole suspension, as you can see. Pretty much done on that end. I've got the top end of the motor off. We're going to do aluminum intake, headers, carb, probably do water pump, and then paint it the best we can without taking the motor out. I'm sure you guys know all about that. The customer's hood flew off, so he ended up getting a whole paint job. I actually didn't have anything to do with this. Here's a Lincoln Continental with a GT500 motor. Heavily, I mean, you'd think it would fit. It doesn't. It's very tight in here by the way the control arms are because the frame moves in like this. So I had to heavily modify it. Mike's been doing all the sheet metal around the engine bay. I did do the notch on the frame. Can't really see it, but we wanted a super deep dish rim, and as you can see there, we couldn't even get a spare that would fit. We had to flip this rim around, so it's going to be just a gnarly deep dish. So I had to heavily notch the frame. This has a full air ride. Over here we got a 35 Chevy. Did a wiring harness and did a fast fuel injection on a 350 with a 700 R4. Customer just, I don't know, changed his mind, thought it was boring, so we yanked the motor out. And now we're doing a 4-cylinder turbo EcoBoost with 425 horse. But because I've already plumbed it for fuel injection, we should be able to reuse all that. Had to replace the tank. I did put a 4-link on here. I did all the work myself. All right. Up next, we got a 69 Mach 1. Did a full height suspension. Had to notch their cross section to clear the oil pan. And this is a Coyote 5.0 motor, 6-speed manual. Subframes, all that good stuff. Coilovers, 4 links already done. Reusing the 9-inch. Probably going to tear the center section apart, and because it's an open legger or one legger, so we need to put a posi in it. Here's another bag Lincoln we got. The guy who had it before we bought it wanted to turn it to a roadster, so he ripped all the windows out and the top. We still have the top. I have to rebuild the top, try to find, fix, or replace all the regulators and all the guts for the windows and make all that work. That's gonna be a nightmare. 55 Chevy, pretty much all done. Pretty clean. We got access to some really good interior guys here in town. It's got a 6-liter fuel injected motor. Here we got our Bronco. Customer thinks it's underpowered and the transmission slips. So I'm yanking the 302 out, doing a 408 stroker, which is in the mail. And while we're doing all that, I'm going to take the transmission out and get it rebuilt. We've already done rims, little stuff, painted the car, did the hood, did all this body work. It's a pretty fun car. Didn't rewire it, but almost had to because I had to fix a lot of wiring problems. Dodge Viper, this was buried up to the dash in salt water, Hurricane Sandy. So I got to go through all the electrical. I took the motor out, the whole drivetrain, built the motor. That's the motor that was in the showroom. Already got the paint, but it's just been so long in this process, it's really dusty. And like I was telling you, my Vespa, stack of motors. This is actually just a hunting vehicle. He just wants to get rid of the rust and hose it down so it looks a little prettier. So nothing too special there. Our Essex project. This is actually my buddy's metal work. But we're doing a all sheet metal interior. It's just roughed in for now. Roll cage. I did install this, welded it, all grounded down. It's nice and smooth. It's just been sitting a while. Here's the notch because the harmonic balancer on the Viper motor. I used the, when we pulled this out to rebuild it, we used it for mock-up on here. I built the motor mounts, got them all ground down, so that's all mocked up. Did the tranny mount. Here's our truck project on a totally sick custom frame. Waiting on the customer to come up with some more money so we can do the motor. Here's our 71 TA that I already showed you in the video. Bike shop. Got another bag Lincoln. Here's my 65 Chevy. 700 R4, small journal 327, CCP brake kit. I don't like that master cylinder at all. I'm going to yank it and put a Willwood in there. Here's my radiator I was telling you about. It's just a cheap one I got off eBay. Works like a champ. I replaced both fenders, replaced this door. At the time I didn't have a lot of money, so I couldn't afford floor pans. So I just got sheet metal, did my own, and then used this roofing tape, which is similar to Dynomat. Can't really see the floors, but. And then did all this. Replaced all that. So I mean, I have some sheet metal. I put this rigid box in there. I sectioned it so that it would be level, otherwise it would have been really tall and would have looked really retarded. Welded it all in. Built this out of diamond plate. It used to have the flamethrowers, but the coil stopped working. And I replaced this side with a junkyard piece. It's just the only problem with it is this. I gotta fix this at some point. GT 500 Shelby front end collision. We're fixing that. Actually just got this yesterday for paint and body. And it's probably worse spots are back here. 62 Caddy, needs a fuel pump, and the interior died. This is the same car that Don Draper drives in Mad Men. Love this car. And then here's an International Scout. Gull wing doors. It's pretty cool. We changed the seats because the seats were too high and he was banging his head on there. But it's full tube chassis. This tire was originally up here, so cut it off, ground it down, and relocated it here. And then built the cage here, excuse me, and did rigid LED lights, front and back. And did some wiring, one wire alternator. It's still got the International motor in it. The thing runs like a champ. Trying to think what else. We don't have any trucks here. Well, we got this one, but this was actually here before I started working. I've done Kelderman lifts, BDS lifts, and a couple others. I've probably done about 4 or 5 lifts. I've done EGR deletes, DPF deletes, like we got this one sitting over here. And then of course programmer wants to do that. And now I'll take you over here to my tools. These are both my boxes. And switching over to a lot of snap-on stuff. Just whatever. Spent a lot of time at Midas, so I've got a lot of maintenance stuff. There's my AR. I told you I like to build these. It's pretty cool to work at a place where you can have an AR in your toolbox. Electrical, metrics, scanner. So I guess that's about it. Been a busy day today. So I just wanted to reassure you guys that I am legit. I do work at this shop. You can call the shop. I'm going to go ahead, Tom, I'm going to send you, I got to go to the house and dig it up, my certifications. I just have my patch here, but I will get you that. But as you can see, I work on just about everything, and our stuff is right on par with what you guys are doing. I really like going to the truck tech department, because it seemed like he was really doing just about everything that I do. And I had a lot of fun talking to him. This is the transmission out of that Viper. The throwout bearing was all seized up. I got to replace that. We had to clean up the shaft. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. I'll send this your way. I'll put it on YouTube. I can set it up to where the only people that see it are the people that I send the link to. So don't worry about it being public. So I guess that's about it. I guess that's all.